Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning into another episode of the Dumpster Diaries Podcast. As always, I am Justin Allen, and I am here with Moses Wartooth. And in case you didn't notice, we got a new studio, man, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're happy to be moved into a new place, bigger space. We got a lot of more options and opportunities ahead of us with this. So.
100%, man. We couldn't have done it without you guys, man. I just want to give a big shout out to all the haters and naysayers, though, man. Keep pumping that algorithm.
Keep talking shit to us and pumping our videos. Thanks a lot, guys, but also thanks to all the people who actually like us, too. You guys are legitimately the best, so thanks for all that.
Oh yeah, man, I like it, man. It's like spacious and stuff. Like it's kind of nice getting out of the bunker. Mm-hmm. But I think we'll still be doing like a little bit of work over there from time to time.
We can't forget where we came from. We'll still occasionally go back to the bunker.
We'll see how the world turns for the rest of the year. Yeah. We might be just hiding in that bunker.
When the need arises, the bunker is there.
I actually went grocery shopping today, and I bought like a bunch of like canned foods and like non-perishables and stuff. Because like somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, some shit's gonna go down.
Hey, it's better to be prepared.
Hey man, when COVID kicked off, I had like fucking a week's worth of food, and I was like, holy shit, like I might actually starve to death. But man, so back at it again, dude. Another episode, fresh in the new studio, dude. We got some things we want to talk about, and I think number one, dude, we got to talk about the Olympics. We got to tackle that.
Yeah, the Olympics is really lighting a fire under some people of a certain religion.
You could say that, man. People are pretty pissed off, man. I'm actually kind of surprised by the backlash.
I know, and I don't know. In my opinion, it's for questionable reasons.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
We'll definitely get into it for sure, man, in detail, because I know we do have a video that we're going to watch here in a minute about it. But, that opening ceremony pissed off, like, basically half the Western world,
yeah.
You know?
Anyone with the Christian faith was not too excited about it.
Yeah, man, but, I mean, it's like anything now. My thing with it, and which we'll see here in a little bit, you can tell there's, like, a woke bullshit agenda to everything that's happening.
100%. I mean, from the parts that I saw of it, it didn't piss me off, but some of the stuff I was like, this is ridiculous and uncalled for.
This is insane. Like,
they really are just pushing this garbage down our throat.
Yeah, and it's like, it's in sports, it's in your schools, like, I mean, like the it's almost like they're just trying to forcibly indoctrinate like the Western world.
It is.
And as always, man, be an adult, do your own thing behind closed doors, but, don't bother other people, but damn, man, like, I didn't...
At some point, enough is enough.
Everything you turn on, like not everything has to be like gay or trans, man.
Yeah.
Like,
there are still average, regular people that like traditional belief. Like, come on,
just traditional shit. That's all it is. It's not a big deal, And I think it's a lot more people than what the media likes to portray.
For sure.
Everyone I run into and talk to, like, they're all like, yeah, we're tired of this shit,
Even the people that did back it in the past are now kind of just starting to get tired of just getting beat with it every day.
I mean, we talked about that on, like, some of the previous episodes. Like, I've got a few friends who are gay, and they're just like, that whole movement for the Alphabet Gang, they were like, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah. Well, normally the just gay people, they're the ones that are getting sick of it more than anyone else because they get grouped into all this insanity shit, and it makes them look bad. Because there's people that are doing weird shit that makes the average, even a regular gay person, look just bad.
Yeah, man, and so I don't know who signed off on that shit on the Olympics. I mean, I get it from like an artistic perspective, but at the same time, it's like, yo, dog, know your audience.
Yeah, and your audience in this case is the entire world.
And pretty much like all major religions of the world are not on board with that shit at all.
Yeah.
So it's something like this.
I can't think of one that is like 100% all in to doing whatever that, like, all that stuff.
It's like, what is it? Islam is the largest religion in the world, and second is Christianity, if I remember right.
I believe so, yeah.
But I remember there being like something like over 2 billion Christians in the world or something. And I'm like, that's 2 billion people you just alienated. Mm. We only have like 7.5 billion on this earth. So.
And I know there's a lot of Hindu people, and they were not cool with that stuff either. So, and damn sure the Muslims aren't. So really, who are you trying to please out here?
Maybe this is what brings us all together, man.
Maybe so. Our universal hatred for that bullshit.
The universal hatred towards the woke agenda. Like, you just see Muslims and Jews. That's how we solve Israel, man. All that shit going down between Palestine and Israel, dude. Be like, hey, like, ceasefire. Let's focus on this shit. Then we'll get back to fucking each other up like it's no thing.
The Houthis and the Israelis shaking hands finally.
The Houthis at it again, man. It's just those guys, at least. That name, I don't know, it gets me every time. It's just a fucking goofy name. I'm sure there's some meaning behind it. But
I'm sure there is, but it really It brings a comical light to any conversation just mentioning the word Houthi.
You just see like a president, like the first time he ever hears the name, they're like, okay, the Houthis just attacked like a U.S. ship, like, you know.
He's like, is this some Star Wars shit? Like,
you know. But speaking of Star Wars, man, that opening ceremony at the Olympics, like, what they portray, what a lot of people believe is the Last Supper. You can argue it either way.
Now that you mention that, I could see some Star Wars shit. Like
it reminds me of that bar in the first Star Wars, like where they walk in and everything's weird.
Yeah,
it's all
like,
different species. And it's like different species and aliens everywhere you go.
That is a perfect analogy, man. That is what that was.
Yeah, dude. So I don't know. You want to pull the clip?
Yeah, let's watch that video.
All right, cool.
Out to ceasefire, the president doubled down on their decision to part ways with the Olympics.
Well, I love Lady Gaga and Celine Dion, but I thought it was very disrespectful and sacrilegious.
Mississippians are responding to the Paris Olympics open ceremony, the ceremony not only getting backlash from viewers, but also local companies. Ceasefire went to social media announcing that they are pulling advertising from the Olympics, the technology company feeling like the sporting event made a mockery of the Last Supper.
I think that's a great idea.
Some believe a portion of the Olympic Open was emulating the final meal Jesus shared with his disciples before his crucifixion, saying what they saw during the performance does not align with Christian values at all.
I think it's just indicative of how the people tend to criticize a Christian's religion rather than any other religion. It wouldn't have flown if it had been against the Muslim religion or another religion.
I thought it was great. I've been to France a couple times.
Others feel the open ceremony is being misunderstood and has nothing to do with Christianity.
There's confusion over the Greek representation that was meant by that piece. So probably just checking in a little bit more about the cultural piece that was being pulled into that. But I don't think that it was pulling in the Italian Last Supper art at all.
We reached out to Ceasefire, the president and CEO Susie Hayes saying Ceasefire is supportive of our athletes who have worked so hard to be a part of the Olympics. However, we will not be a part of the offensive and unacceptable mockery of the Last Supper, which is why we're pulling our advertising from the Olympics. Governor Tate Reeves also went to Twitter standing in full support of Ceasefire's decision, saying, I am proud to see the private sector in Mississippi step up and put their foot down. God will not be mocked.
Yeah, so there's that, man.
So, yes, as you mentioned the Star Wars thing, dude, it just looks like, that looks exactly like that. The blue man up at the front, like, what is that supposed to be?
Okay, so, all right, let's tackle it first with, like, the Christianity viewpoint.
From the Last Supper perspective.
Okay, so it looks a lot like it. When I first saw it, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, immediately that's what I went to in my head. I was like, yo, what the fuck is this, man? Like, and so there is that. And then on the flip side, there is people saying that it's actually an interpretation of a part of Greek mythology. So there is a Greek god called Dionysius. And essentially, like, he's a god of, like, partying and famous for, like, drinking wine. That is the blue Smurf you see.
Okay.
And so they said that essentially that's a representation of that Greek god, and that there is 18 people at the table, not 12. So you could argue it either way. In my opinion, you want to know my opinion about it?
Yeah.
I think they got sneaky. I think they wanted to pull some shit, and I think it was kind of clever. In opinion, I don't agree with it.
So do you think that then some way it was like an underhanded shot at Christianity?
I think they were like, okay, we're going to do, not even that. I think, well, yeah, in some way. I think they were like, okay, we're going to go with this Greek, representation, right? Because the Olympics, the Greeks started the Olympics.
Makes sense, yeah.
But then we're going to portray it in a manner that seems that it attacks Christianity. So
and then play the victim.
Yes. And then so that's why now we're talking about it. We hear about it. Now the Olympics are extremely popular right now. Because, it's no secret. They've had dwindling views over the years.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was. So if that was what they were trying to do, the person who did that was playing both sides of the table. But from my perspective, like if I was producing something like a production or whatever, I would want there to be no confusion. I'd be like, either we're representing the Last Supper or we're not. Like I would do it in a manner to where like this is set in stone. You know what it is. There is no room for misinterpretation. So I don't know.
So then, how do you feel about the newscast didn't cover it, but the guy riding the horse? People were saying the horse was also a symbol of anti-Christianity because of the pale horse, the white horse.
So I mean, there's symbolism in everything, right?
Yeah.
And when you start looking back, like modern civilization, human civilization as we know it is like roughly ballpark at about 10,000 years old. There's some arguments that it's like a little older. There's some that it's a little younger, but about 10 to 12,000 years is where everyone settles, right? And so a lot of the symbolism that we see is actually rooted in religion, whether that be like Christianity or like Islam or whatever it may be. But I mean, those religions even came later. I mean, you start talking about really like a lot of religions that, you find like all throughout like, Asia and stuff like that, that predate any of the Judeo-Christian beliefs or even like, Islam. Because I mean, Islam was, basically the last kid to make it to the game because they didn't come around until about 600 AD. But I don't know. I feel with that, there's the major religions, there's a lot of, how do you say it? A lot of the same stories, right? So like famously, like in the Christian Bible, the Old Testament is the same as essentially the Old Testament in the Quran, like for the Muslims, right? And biggest difference is, do they believe Jesus was the son of God or not? Muslims believe he was a prophet, not a son of God. Christians believe he was the son of God. Hence the separation, right? And so there is like a background to that. And so symbolism like occurs or whatever, like throughout all these major religions and over periods of time. And it kind of just keeps getting repeated and repeated and repeated. Like famously, like when Greeks came with their religion, a few years down the line, the Romans actually were obsessed with the Greeks and they mimicked their religion after the Greeks. And it's just been constantly like recycled, like, stuff like that. But when you get into like the pale horse, that's where it talks about, at least in the Bible, it talks in the book of Revelations, it talks about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Like there's like war, famine, death, all this other stuff. And the pale horse is death. So is it a cool visual representation? Sure.
Yes.
Is that what they meant? I don't know. But when you threw in what looked like could be interpreted as the Last Supper, and maybe it was, maybe that's what they were going for. Then you throw in a pale horse. Like, what are you trying to tell? Are you trying to tell us we're all going to die?
Accept our agenda or die?
Yeah. It's like the opening. So there is, it kind of like teeters on like conspiracy realm too, right? Like, are these just elitists trying to like fuck with the masses or whatever? And I like to say like in the logical realm, but however, if you look at, I think it was the 2012 Olympics in London, I believe, that opening ceremony is fucking creepy. And what it is, if you look at it, they have like a huge cloaked figure with like holding a syringe, right? And I mean, it's huge. And at the foot of it is a bunch of sick and dying children in hospital beds. And dancing around this figure, standing in front of like dozens of hospital beds of dying children, dancing around it are doctors and nurses. So everyone's like, was this just like the elitists trying to tell us like they knew COVID was coming and the vax is going to fucking kill everyone? Like, yes. I mean, it just... But humans also have a way of like connecting things that aren't connected at all.
Yeah,
that's
like
why we
making
see
something out of nothing.
Yeah, like I can't remember what the name of it is, but like we see faces in a lot of things. Like yeah, like you see faces like in like a sandwich, or a Cheeto. That's why you see like the Virgin Mary show up on like a piece of toast or something. Yeah. So we have a tendency to do this and make connections that aren't necessarily there. It's an inherent bias that we have or whatever. So, but really, realistically, when it's all said and fucking done, I just think it was just people trying to be artistic and express themselves and all this other stuff. Do I think it was good? No. I think it was probably realistically blown out of proportion, but at the end of the day, I'll say that it's pretty fucking gay. So,
Literally. Yeah, like the horse, I thought the horse thing was cool.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
But
like, I mean, they had, like, it goes back to, which, I mean, I get, like, everyone having equal rights and all that stuff, 100%. But like, why are you pushing the trans agenda down our fucking throat? Now it's in the Olympics and shit. Like, why are we doing this? Like, what's going on now, man? So, I mean, there's always some fucked up agenda that's happening too. So always. Who fucking knows, man?
They're doing that shit to weaken us as a people. That's what I think.
Could be. I mean, it's definitely something going on, man. And I don't know what it is. I mean, do you think it's just like a cultural thing that's occurring, or do you think that it has some shit to do with, say, possibly like pharmaceuticals or, you know, chemicals like, you know, preservatives in our food, or like dairy, meat, stuff like that? I mean, do you think that has like a play, or do you think it's just kind of everything all at once?
It's definitely everything all at once, but I feel like they're pushing that agenda. Well, I don't know. I feel like they push that agenda to weaken us as a whole and divide us. And
now, who is us? Like, is that just everyone?
More of Western society.
Okay.
Because I think China and Russia, like, I know they're boogeyman shit, but I think at the same time they do know what they're doing, and they do like pushing that agenda on that.
Pushing those bot farms and all that shit.
Yeah, because it weakens us as a people. It divides us. It confuses us.
Yeah.
It just makes us all sporadic. Because we need to be unified.
Yeah.
So as long as they can break that up and make us focus on other pointless shit, they won.
I mean, like, when I started reading news articles, you know, well, how long back would you say that the trans shit really kicked off? I mean, it's kind of always been around since like the beginning of fucking time, but
less than 10 years.
Okay, so we'll just say like meet me in the say 5, right?
Yeah.
So about 5 years
probably
ago,
like around COVID.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
And so when I started like hearing stories and reading stories about, you know, them like essentially chemically castrating like young boys, like 8, 9 year olds.
Yeah, like giving them puberty blockers and shit.
It's like, what are we doing, man? Like, that is...
They're not old enough to vote, drink, get tattoos, smoke, but you can stop them from having puberty and prevent, like...
Which is one thing that's interesting, is because, like, the United Nations declares genital mutilation as a war crime.
But yet it goes on every day.
Yeah. And then, like, I mean, the one thing about, like, say, for the Brits, for example, in England, they had... what was it? They had a whole program to like transition youth and stuff like that, right? It was like sponsored by like the what is it? The
WHO?
NHS, the National Health Services or whatever, like their socialized healthcare that they have over there. And they did like an extensive, like comprehensive like research over like review of it and followed like these patients for years, and they were all fucked up, man. They were all fucked up. And so like the Brits literally disbanded that shit and completely stopped using tax dollars for it. They shut down the hospital that specialized.
Well, that was another thing. They were having to fund that shit.
Yeah.
So obviously that's going to make people mad. Because no one wants to pay for that stuff.
No, I don't. I'd be like, what the fuck are my tax dollars being used for? Like, get fucked.
We're already like that. So if I had to pay for that shit, I'm going to be more mad.
And it's like the parents too behind that shit. Like, I think it's mostly the parents' fault. When you start talking about like a kid.
That's child abuse, in my opinion. I mean that.
And it's like, and you see these parents, like, it's more about the parent than it is the kid.
Yeah,
and
they're like, oh, he feels this way. Like, I don't know.
I'm so happy I have a daughter now. It's clearly a son. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing right now? And then, like, I read some shit the other day. Megan Fox has 3 sons. All 3 of them are trans.
I saw that.
All 3 of them are trans, dude.
Like, 3 for 3? That's impossible. I don't care, like, statistically that they would all feel that way on their own with no guidance or pressure.
Yeah. I could say, like,
I don't buy it.
1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000.
Sure,
whatever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just biology. But, like, fucking 3 for 3? Dog, she needs to go to a casino and buy a lottery ticket.
She needs to get away from MGK. I blame him.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him. He's looking a little feminine more and more as the time goes on and whatever.
Man, Eminem killed him, dude.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
you know more about the rap.
He was in a rap beef with Eminem, and Eminem destroyed him, and then he just stopped rapping, and he went and started making punk music and stuff.
No shit.
Yeah, and then he started dressing like a girl and doing all this weird, stupid shit.
Yeah, the pictures I saw of him, it was like I got like a real like metrosexual vibe off of it. Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Do you remember those shirts in high school that girls wore that were like this big, but they were super stretchy and had those little pointy cone things on them? He was wearing those.
Dude, what the fuck?
And it was pink and purple.
What the fuck, man?
So when you get that's your stepdad, and she's got those 3 kids.
no wonder you're gonna be.
No wonder they're messed up, man.
Dude, holy shit, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening to the world. I think it's I think a lot of it. So even just outside the child abuse, like we'll get away from that. Just the general movement as a whole. In general, to get, I think what kids call it now is clout, right? Like to get attention, whether, especially now with like social media and stuff, but you know, crowds or get the views or get the likes or get people to show up to your shows or concerts, whatever the hell it may be, or buy your product, you need attention. And it's just gotten so far off the rails that now people are just doing the most bonkers shit.
I mean, that's why you got kids in cool pretending they're cats and shit.
Yeah. That's fucking weird, man. Like, let's fucking face it, dude. And like any adults allowing that shit to go on, that's just a failure as an adult, man.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You're a stupid parent. You're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Like, I get imagination land and playing around and pretending stuff, but if you got a kid that legitimately thinks they're a cat, you need to like.
Yeah.
You need to be like, all right, then you're going to drink out of a fucking milk bowl on the floor, dude. You don't need a room anymore. Here's a cat bed.
Institutionalize them or like fucking beat that shit out of them.
Treat them like a cat until they realize they don't really want to be a cat.
I'm not an advocate for child abuse, but let's hear the backstory first. You know, like just beating the shit out of a kid that thinks it's a cat. You know,
spray in the face with water.
Finish your plate. You know, like what the fuck are we doing, man?
You wanted these fucking Whiskers kitty bits? Like, come on,
Jesus Christ, man. So I don't know. I mean, it to me, it is apparent looking at everything that's going on in the world. The famous saying is "Go woke, go broke," right?
Yep.
And it's happening, and you see this shit happening. Sports,
Disney got annihilated
boom,
with that
boom,
shit.
Boom, boom, yeah, man. And it's just like the views are going down. And I think it's really just up to the people to not engage with it, because once the money stops flowing, they'll stop.
Then
fucking
they'll change
around.
their tune.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, and I don't know. It's kind of sad that it's like that, man. Like it's not. There's not any Clint Eastwoods of our time, man. You know what I mean? Like, like it's okay to be like a straight white conservative dude and, you know, still be in media and do stuff, but there's none of that anymore. Nobody wants to see that shit anymore. You know?
Well, people want to see it. It's just no one wants to hire that shit because they're afraid.
True.
They're afraid of the backlash.
That is true. That's like when we started our channel, I think we were like, okay, in the first year our goal is like 500 like followers, and then like we just blew through that in no time. And I was like, holy shit, maybe people actually really want to hear like these types of things, you know? Which is unfortunate. The only way you can find it now is YouTube, really.
Yeah.
So
unless Elon can get his shit worked out on X and create a secondary YouTube alternative.
I hope if he did that, it would be fucking insane. We just migrate over there, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, can you think about how crazy it'll be over there?
Say whatever the fuck you want, dude.
Yeah.
X is wild, dude. That is the wild, wild west of social media right now, dude.
It's the only place you can actually speak your mind and not be punished for it.
Sure. Yeah. Now, with that, I ain't gonna lie.
At least on the platform.
There's some crazy shit.
Oh yeah, there is.
Like, God damn it! Just because you have a voice,
but again,
you
like,
should use it.
Yeah,
you know?
but whenever you're given free speech on one platform, people are going to abuse that because they're going to be like, well, this is the one place I can go to say whatever the hell I want to. So they're going to make up terrible things to say.
Like when the Israel-Palestine shit was kicking up, dude, I saw so much anti-Semitic shit on there. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that was that big of a thing, dude.
I didn't, and I still don't understand it. But.
You know, but I mean, it was like the majority. And I saw polls, they were like, do you support Israel? Do you support Palestine or whatever? And then like the vast majority would be like Palestine. And I was like, where the fuck are these people coming from, dude?
I don't know, man.
You know?
Russian troll farms.
That could be, I think that's a lot of it, man. And I think a lot of it is manipulated hardcore by like state actors like Russia, China, and even North Korea. I mean, we've proven that. We've talked about that.
For sure. Multiple instances where North Koreans were getting money and using it over there. Like.
And then it's like kind of crazy when you start thinking, because the new upcoming generation, what are they tapped into? Entirely social media and like technology. So then it's just
that's the sole place they get their information
that's what
from.
They're fed.
They don't read books. They don't watch even mainstream news, which, I mean, that's a crapshoot in itself. But if all they have is TikTok for their news, I mean, that ain't good.
Yeah, dude. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll fucking see how it goes. But anyway, we got to get back to shitting on the Olympics.
Moving on back to the Olympics, there's another extreme, which I find this way more controversial than the other stuff.
Yeah, so this is, in our opinion, is, no, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I feel like in our opinion, this is...
this would be something to be a little bit more upset about.
Actually have a beef about, man.
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised it's the fucking Dutch, man.
Yeah.
Because they're normally not cool with that kind of shit.
That is very
man.
true.
Like, I mean, for the listeners who don't know, I mean, I've always called the Netherlands in some way the Europe's America. Because, I mean, you've been there too multiple times. I've been there like a lot. And so, I mean, they got their own culture, their own language, all this other stuff, but they all speak English very well. They get our sense of humor. I mean, a lot of our businesses that are here are over there. Like there's KFC, McDonald's, all that shit, you know. They watch our Netflix, so you can make jokes and references to like Trailer Park Boys or something, and they'll get that. It's kind of cool or whatever. But they're usually a lot more level-headed, in my opinion. Like they're very like...
Yeah,
they don't freak out.
They're not as extreme on stuff, it seems like. Either way. Like
there's no like riots in the streets and stuff like that. And they're usually pretty understanding. But But like, you know, even stuff like what we're about to talk about, like they wouldn't even tolerate it, man. Like,
I know, which is interesting that it's been brought to this level and it's still just letting fly.
Yeah. So I just want to say, like, mindset wise, they're not entirely different from, you know, an average American, you know, in my personal opinion, based on my travels there. But yeah, man, we'll watch this video and see what you guys think, because this one made me go, what the hell, dude?
Yeah.
A Dutch beach volleyball player who served time in prison for raping a child 10 years ago will represent the Netherlands at this year's Olympics. Steven van de Velde, who's now 29, was sentenced to 4 years in prison in 2014 for raping the girl who was aged 12, according to British media. He was released in 2017. He has now been selected to represent the Netherlands in beach volleyball for this summer's Olympic Games in Paris. We know Steven's history.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
So the big thing about like the Dutch, man, is that I noticed and that they really pride themselves on is tolerance of like all cultures, all people and stuff. That's why it's a really peaceful country. But
I mean, there's some things you can't tolerate.
Yeah, you know?
That's like the number one thing.
And so it's just like you're letting a child rapist represent your entire nation.
And not, like literally convicted. Like it's not like hearsay, not like he got off, like he did
for 4 years.
Yeah, he was accused, found guilty, and served time for this act.
I'll tell you right now, getting 4 years in prison in Holland is pretty hard to do. Like, you know, I mean they don't even have life in prison.
Yeah.
You know? So it's, if I remember right. But yeah, dude, like that's just fucking wild, man. Like, how do you? Is it just?
I'd be like, you couldn't have found anyone like anyone else. Come on, like I know y'all probably don't play volleyball too much over there. But
maybe we can just lose beach volleyball this year, like, you know, and not have this guy here, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, but it makes me wonder, like these people who make these final decisions and get these people on the teams or whatever, you know, these nameless, faceless, shadowy figures that seem to be fucking controlling every goddamn thing around us. Is it because they don't have spines, or are they actually pushing an agenda? You know,
I don't know, man. Like,
now I could get being like, okay, if someone's trans, you're like, hey, I don't really want to represent this in something. You might sound, you know, some sort of like a bigot or something like that.
Yeah, but that's a totally different scenario.
But like someone who's like a convicted child rapist,
there's no.
You couldn't be like, fuck that.
Yeah,
you know,
there's no like. I don't know. There's no silver lining in that shit. You can't talk your way out of that shit. Like, yeah.
And I was watching like other clips too in preparation for this episode, and like everyone's booing that guy.
Good.
Like as soon as he walks out there, like on the sand, everyone's like boo, and I'm like, God damn, dude.
And how did that guy even like think that was a good idea?
If I was him, there's no way I would have done that.
No way, man.
No way. That's a whole nother level of like not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
You know.
And plus, dude, I mean. They should never. They should. Well, if they did let that guy out, they should not let him be walking and able to play beach volleyball.
So they said he's 29 years old, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they said the events happened in 2014. Is that what it was? I think that's what it was, right?
I don't know. He did 4 years and the girl was 12.
Okay, so let's just hack off 10 years. So that means he would have been 19, 18 years old, roughly.
Either way.
Yeah, but even then, so like saying like he would have went to prison. So he really. Shit, I guess depending on when he fucking went.
Yeah.
It really hasn't been out that long. So I was trying to like add up like how old he was when the crime was committed and, you know, when he maybe got out of prison, but
yeah. And another thing, you only get 4 years for that shit, dude.
I know that's
wild.
That's
insane.
Like you do that shit in America, like you're going to get fucking like if you get convicted of that, like you're going to go away. What is it? Like I think it's like 10 or 15 or something.
Sometimes, man, I've seen bullshit, dude, but yet if I had a little bag of Coke, dude, my ass could go away for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in. That is bullshit, man. That's the kind of stuff that makes me so mad. The double, like the standards on that stuff. Yeah. You're gonna like, how can you even compare those two things?
You got too much cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Public enemy number one, right there.
100 plants and up. What is it? 20 to 40 years or some shit. Something crazy.
It was like.
It used to be. I don't know if it changed.
It doesn't go off. Well, at least in Texas, it doesn't go off the amount of plants. They basically cut down the plants and they weigh. If you're growing it, they cut down the plants and they weigh them, and that weight is considered under possession. So there is no actual charge, if I remember right, in Texas for the cultivation of cannabis. It just goes under a possession charge. And then they got the distribution and all that stuff too, or whatever. But I'm trying to remember. I think anything over 50 pounds. I think it was like the minimum sentence was like 20 years to life. Like it's like an insane.
And then
like,
in some places that doesn't even matter.
I think it was like some insane. Like you could basically be doing the rest of your life. Like they don't. I don't think they put life on there. Oh, fuck, I can't remember. It's been so long. I looked into it a while back.
Yeah.
When we covered some legalization stuff for like just different states, but I just remember Texas being like, holy shit. And I called it like, Texas will never legalize cannabis until the federal government does. We're the only state that borders Mexico that hasn't legalized it.
Yeah, true.
Which makes me wonder. You know, like, are some of these like politicians in our state Congress getting some payoffs or whatever to keep those borders tight? So like that way,
maybe
like,
they're getting paid off by the cartels to keep
money.
it legal or illegal, so they can actually sell.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Fuck, I don't know.
At this point, wouldn't surprise me.
But yeah, man. So I think the Dutch allowing a child rapist to represent them in a beach volleyball of all things is probably not the best of ideas.
No.
Yeah. Dude,
I hope we don't condone violence, but I hope a group of them get together at night and just beat the shit out of that guy.
Let's just say he has an accident.
Yeah.
You know? So,
he takes a slip in the shower, breaks his neck.
yeah, he's just the balls on that dude to fucking go and become a national athlete like that for the world to see. Like, did you think you were just gonna skirt by and nobody was gonna know that shit?
I don't know, man.
Like, it's 2024. We all got the internet now. You know, we got computers and shit.
Yeah.
So. But I don't know. That's just another fucking chapter in the crazy world we live in today, man.
True.
You know, at this point, nothing really fucking surprises me.
That's what happens when everyone is afraid to step up and do something. I guess.
I think
we're just in an anything goes scenario at this point.
Yeah, it's like the perseverance of evil is the inaction of good men, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I mean, there is something to it. Like, I mean, you should always be like peaceful and cordial and stuff like that. But like, there comes a moment where you have to like put your foot down and be like, fuck that.
Yeah, like that is wrong.
I'm not saying be a fucking Karen, right? Be like, oh, like you parked a little bit over the line. None of that shit. But what I'm saying is like, if you're trying to like
if there's something like that, man, like that's not right.
Like
dude.
if you're like trying to indoctrinate kids or something with some fucked up sexual shit, then it's like, yeah, of course you should stand up and be like, go fuck yourself, you know? So, but I don't know. But also where we live, that shit would never fucking fly.
No.
Not at all.
No.
That's why when they were talking about like all like the drag queens and transgenders coming in and like reading to kids and like trying to teach them about like sexuality. Dog, that would not fucking fly where we're at.
Man. Even if the school allowed it, every parent would pull their kids out of the school.
Yeah, they'd be like, you're just not going to go.
Exactly.
What, are you going to send a truancy officer to like 1,000 kids' houses? Yeah, right.
And then even the officer's going to be like, I don't blame you, like, you're good.
It would be massive, like, revolt against that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, so, I don't know, man.
That is the benefits of living where we live.
So, I guess, kind of go back, continue talking about the Olympics. Do you think the outrage over the opening ceremony is blown out of proportion, or do you think it's justified?
Personally, I think it's blown out of proportion. If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's how I feel about everything else with free speech stuff. Yeah. That's how I feel about our show. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Who gives a shit? I mean, no one's forcing you to do anything you don't want to do. So, whatever.
I think it's blown out of proportion depending on the intent. So, if their intent was to mock Christianity and all that stuff, I don't think it's blown out of proportion. But if they were really just following like the Greek god Dionysius, right, and they were going in that shit, then it's like, yeah, man, that could just be like a lack of education. That could be people who just don't know like anything about, you know, mythology or anything like that. You know, I mean, really, that's what it could come down to. You know,
I will say I'm sick of like the agenda being pushed. At the end of the day, either way, no matter
I'm
tired of that shit.
That was my biggest beef with it.
I am tired of that stuff.
And I think honestly, realistically looking at it, that might actually be more of the underlying issue with it.
It probably really is. Like I'm sure, like
no one wants to come out and say
that's the icing on the cake at the end. Like when you see that. The Star Wars shit, I'm going to start calling it. It's just too much, man.
That Star Wars bar, man. Like, everyone's different and shit. It's just like, what the fuck? And then Lady Gaga was there, and I don't know, man. She's something else, man.
Yeah, she's always doing crazy stuff.
She's always weird.
Snoop Dogg was there, though. That was entertaining. Anytime he's around, it's funny.
We can talk about one good thing about the Olympics, I guess, like, so far.
I saw that picture of him holding the torch. It was hilarious.
Like, when I thought it was Photoshopped at first. I was like,
I did, too. I didn't think it was real.
Yeah. And I'm like, how the fuck? What?
Dude, you know he lit a joint off of that plane.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
100%. And then it's funny, too, because Snoop Dogg, like, literally was brought up on murder charges, man. What was it? It was the late 80s, early 90s?
Dude, that man has done as far as like, I don't know, like if you just pick a career, that dude's probably done it.
Sure, yeah. I still think it's badass. Him and Martha Stewart teamed up, and then they had that cooking show together or whatever.
Yeah, does that mean like, guess which one's the felon?
Yeah. Yeah, but he almost went to prison for a long time up on a murder charge that apparently he didn't commit. So
they never do.
Yeah, it was back in the hip hop beef days, you know, when people used to actually take shots at each other, and it was real gangsters singing. Now it's just like Little Nas, like wearing tights and giving the devil lap dances and shit.
Yeah, it's trigger fingers turned to Twitter fingers.
You know, back in my day, we used to just cap a motherfucker. Like, oh man, shit. What do we got else? What are we gonna go on to? Kamala Harris. That's always interesting.
Yeah.
We're going into that. Is that what we want to jump into next, or what do we want to do?
We need to talk about the Secret Service.
The Secret Service. That's what we need to do first. Okay. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. So
we're still back on the Trump assassination attempt.
Yeah. Well, the head of the Secret Service is, for a lack of better words, getting her shit pushed in.
Yeah.
And, dude, imagine.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, for sure. I mean, just looking at it, you can tell it's just incompetence, if not intentional.
It's both, man. I think she's an idiot. But you can't be that stupid. I say this, but then we got Kamala. But anyway, you can't be that stupid and make it to that position. There's no way. You can't be the head of the fucking CIA.
Yeah, I don't believe people rise to the tops like that, and they're idiots. No matter how they portray themselves, I don't think they are. And like we talked about it with the Clintons the other day, they're both lawyers.
Yeah.
Like the LSAT is not a joke. Like you can't be an idiot and make it through that test with like a competitive.
So obviously they possess some shred of knowledge somewhere. Yep. Like they know about something.
Yeah, man. And so I think these people, I'm not gonna say they're genius level, but they're not idiots.
Yeah.
By any means, you know. But she's getting the shit, man.
Let's watch the video on this because it's she gets grilled.
When we watch this, just imagine having to eat this crow. That's all I'm fucking saying, dude.
The assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th is the most significant operational failure of the Secret Service in decades.
Kimberly Cheetle was responsible for protecting those at the top of U.S. politics. She admitted that she'd failed, prompting a barrage of criticism on Capitol Hill.
It is my firm belief, Director Cheetle, that you should resign.
Not only should you resign, if you refuse to do so, President Biden needs to fire you. You cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet.
You're full of today. You're just being completely dishonest.
But in the end, the pressure was too great. Writing to colleagues, she said, "The Secret Service will move forward with our investigatory and protective mission in a steadfast manner. We do not retreat from challenge. However, I do not want my calls for resignation to be a distraction from the great work each and every one of you do towards our vital mission. In light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart that I have made the difficult decision to step down as your director."
Woo! I'm just saying, you only resign when you know you fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
I mean, yeah. If she hadn't have resigned, her ass would have been fired.
For sure, man. And
everybody, both sides, it was bipartisan agreement that her ass fucked up and she needed to get out of there.
That's really when you know you fucked up, is when Republicans and Democrats can agree on a subject. They're just like...
Exactly, yeah.
But, I mean, the incompetence of it, I'm not trying to spout conspiracy theories, but it made me feel like you can't be that stupid.
You can't be. It's quite, I mean...
A sloped roof? Are you fucking kidding me?
The kid was walking around with a rangefinder and a drone.
Yeah, and he had a ladder. A fucking ladder, dude. It's
like, what are you going to do with that?
I feel like I'm in a fucking Dr. Seuss book, man. Like, it's just getting so bonkers with this shit. And then, like, I saw videos recorded from people's phones where they were recording this kid 10 minutes before the shooting, and they were, like, saying, like, hey, this guy's got a gun. He's getting on the roof. Yeah, they were like,
there's a guy on the roof.
Yeah. And it's just like, we can't put our agents up there. Like, there's a 2% grade, like, or whatever. And it's just like, dude... Half these dudes probably fucking killed people downrange. Those snipers and shit.
You would hope so. Except for that one chick.
Yeah. Can't holster a gun.
Yeah.
I saw a funny meme.
Dude, her previous job was at Pepsi.
How the fuck did she get in the Secret Service?
Don't know. But her previous job was at
Pepsi. Dude, there honestly should be some qualifications like requirements where it's like you have to have military service, active combat at some point.
No
to
shit,
do this
dude.
job.
Yes, yeah.
Like if you're, dude, like
makes no sense.
You know, I could maybe see if you had like a long career in law enforcement or something like that. Maybe that can be
SWAT
like a
team stuff. Like,
yeah, sure. You know, like, but not just like, oh, I used to fucking fill orders for invoices for Pepsi, and then now I'm over here trying to protect the president. But like her trying to holster that gun, I was looking at it, and she looked like, I'm not trying to be a fucking dick here, man, and talk about someone's appearance, but I mean, she did not look fit.
Not at all. She was a fat slob, man.
And I was just like, this is the fucking person, like one of the people protecting the president. Now, the dudes around her looked fucking jacked, and they were ready to fucking go, man.
And then that leads you on to the next question. It was obviously just a hire to check a box.
Sure.
I mean,
like DEI shit?
Exactly. They needed a woman on the team.
Dude, we need to flush that DEI shit.
But that's
down
such
the
bullshit
fucking
because
toilet,
you
man.
know how many qualified women there actually are. Not her, but there's plenty of women that could have filled that position and done just fucking fine.
I met tons
It's
of
not
them.
about a race. I mean, it's not about a sex thing. It's just about she was incompetent and not qualified for that job.
It should be merit.
Yeah.
Like you get the job on merit. I met a bunch of badass women in the military.
Yeah,
that
for
were
sure.
in the Army.
For sure.
I met some that were in the Marines and stuff. Like, fucking easily kick my ass. You know?
100%, man.
So, you know, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, and then that woman too, man, she hid behind Trump. Did you see that shit?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, what the fuck, man? Like, but anyway.
They should have blasted her right there. Be like,
oh, the internet took care of that shit right there. But we'll get back on the director, man. So she obviously resigned, and I mean, but that's got to be a lot of. And here's a fucked up part. Let's just say, because you know how bureaucracy works. Maybe the director wasn't really all that aware of what was going on. Maybe just signed a paper like, okay, cool, he's doing another rally. We're just going to like protect him. Maybe it could have been someone underneath her, like 1 degree, 2 degrees, that was actually responsible for planning and orchestrating the entire event.
but the way she handled the aftermath, unacceptable. It had been 9 days and she still hadn't been to the fucking site.
Yep. And then that interview she gave, who was it with? Where she was talking about there being a sloped roof and it was like a safety hazard. And then the roof that the actual snipers were on like had like even more of a slope. It's like, dude, are you shitting me? That's just like a bureaucrat trying to find a bullshit excuse to justify their actions.
Oh yeah, but I'm happy they handled that the way they did with her and got her out
and it
of
sends a fucking message too, you know. Like, hey, like this isn't going to be tolerated.
But if you really want to go tinfoil hat,
sure, why not?
So if
my old stomping ground.
Hello, darkness.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So if all this was planned, then she would have been willing to take the hit, and because she would have had a payout on the other end, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Be like, hey man, like you're gonna take the hit, you're gonna have to lose your job, but hey,
don't worry, you're gonna be taken care of.
We got you in the private sector.
Yeah.
We're gonna hook you up in like one of these companies that,
or just give her a lump sum payout. Witness protection, never hear from her again.
I mean, a lot of times that shit happens, like where they actually get like corporate gigs and stuff, man. Like a lot of these bureaucrats go, like that was the problem with the FDA, like certifying like a lot of the COVID vax shit, man. It's like, because it was like, yo, wait a second, all these fucking people who are supposed to be like a part of like ensuring these drugs are safe are like literally, it's a revolving door. They're going to work for pharmaceutical companies making over $250,000 a year. Of course they're going to side with these pharmaceutical companies. That's just human interest. That's an incentive to do that. And all human behavior is based on incentives. Like, what do I get out of it? I don't give a fuck who you are. That's the fundamental core.
At the end of the day,
that's just being a biological specimen. That's all that is. Like, whether it's a dog,
self-preservation,
a cat, a human. Yeah, dude. It's just like, what do I get out of this? Am I getting food? And then as we evolve and become more complex, it eventually becomes things like, oh, can I get money out of this? Can I get
money and sex? Yeah, there we go.
Banging puss.
That's the big two. That's the big two.
So I don't know, man, but yeah, she needs to be out of there, man. I'm tired of like having like an incompetent. I mean, the governments always historically have been relatively incompetent, but to some degree or another. Now, there's been areas where they've excelled, you know.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
like sometimes
it's not a straight line.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a linear equation.
yes.
So, but yeah, dude. But I mean, I think it's good. You know, I think Trump coming back is probably going to do some good there too, man. I think he's going to really start cleaning house.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude. I hope if he does get elected, I hope he wipes all those people out.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of that shit.
Like just factory reset on that shit.
Mm-hmm. It needs to happen.
I mean, honestly, it needs. Like, if I was him, I would have fired half of those people right there.
For sure, man. And
or he needs to just hire his own personal security, because if the people that you're paying are paid to protect you by you, they're going to protect you.
I mean, that's what RFK Jr. does.
I mean, yeah.
You know? And fuck, imagine living in that world. where you have to have armed security everywhere you go.
Dude, Pope Mobile.
God damn, that would suck, man. You can't even go into a McDonald's without like.
I mean, I'd be cool with that. I don't want to go anywhere.
Get the fucking point. I like Chili's, goddammit. Like, I'm trying to go there. Hey, one thing that Trump was talking about at one of his recent rallies, I actually do agree with. So all of our listeners who work in the service industry, whatever degree it may be, he wants to impose a 0% tax on tips.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Which I do like. I do like that.
It's a tip. It shouldn't be taxed anyway.
Yeah, I think we talked about this shit before, but I think the servers should get paid at least minimum wage, and there should be 0% tax on tips because tips aren't guaranteed, and that's between like the customer and the server.
A tip normally. Well, I mean, I guess prior to credit cards, used to like the tip was actually extra cash that you would give. There's no reason to tax that shit. It's cash money.
Yeah,
but I know nowadays, like on a credit card.
He was talking about scenarios where they get like super fucked because like all the people who work in the service industry that I know, they have to pay in every year.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Which is like wild. You're literally like your hourly wage is $2.13 an hour, and you still
owe money.
Yeah, like bullshit. A good friend of mine, like they just had to pay in like this last year. I think they had to pay in like $2,000, and he's like, I can't afford this. And I was like,
that would make me so mad, man. That's bullshit.
I mean, I would fucking burn down. I don't know. Like,
we don't condone violence.
We don't condone violence. You know. Oh man, maybe whenever. I'm not gonna say that. That actually might get us in trouble at some point. You know, like to not get banned. But yeah, man. So. But yeah, head of Secret Service is out, man. I mean, I think
that's good.
I think a lot of our intelligence agencies need like a good fucking cleansing too.
Oh, they do. They do.
And if you think I'm full of shit,
the corruption runs deep.
If you think I'm full of shit, man, you should read Edward Snowden's book, Permanent Record. That one opened my fucking eyes, and I was like, holy shit. So whenever you give the government power and they're like, don't worry, we're not going to do this because we're not allowed to, they're going to do that.
They're probably already doing it. Yeah. Anytime they talk about it, they've already been doing that shit.
And then I think the FBI got caught lying to like fucking, I think it was like 16 different FISA courts to spy on like the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
And shit. And it's just like, yo, what the fuck are we doing right now? You know?
And you know, nothing's going to happen to them.
I don't know.
Who's going to punish them?
I mean, the thing is about presidents, you know, they can only run 2 terms, right? So anyone who gets elected the first term, yeah, they get some shit done. But they typically take it kind of easy compared. But like when they get to their second term, that's when they try to fucking full throttle because they got nothing to lose.
It's like, this is what I wanted to do the first time.
Yes. So you thought Trump was fucking off the rails the first time? Well, round 2, and then considering, I'm not saying that the DNC tried to fucking cap him, but you know, whoever did, right?
Yeah. It definitely wasn't only that kid.
Yeah.
Or was it? I don't know.
It 100% was a lone wolf.
Yeah, 20-year-old white nerd kid.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Nothing to see here, folks.
Well, speaking of that stuff,
yeah, we're on politics. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Biden.
So we've covered Biden a lot, and it's no secret that he's dropped out of the election. So he's still
acting president. I mean, he's still the president.
Yeah, I mean, you would think most people would realize that, but we scroll through the comment section and you're like, what the fuck is going on? You know, there was people that literally thought that he was just leaving the White House, and I was like, what? No, he's still fucking president. Like, what is happening right now? But so Biden has decided not to run because basically he had a mutiny on his hands with the DNC. Like, dude, they were
like, dude, you got to get your ass out.
They turned on him like a pack of wolves, man.
They went from one day like, we back Biden. If you don't think Biden's been the best ever, then fuck you. Next day, like, dude, you got to get out of here.
And it's crazy. That was like a week apart.
Yeah.
You know. And so, so Biden wrote a letter, to the American people explaining that he was not going to be
Biden wrote a letter.
Didn't
have a presidential seal on it.
Some 22-year-old intern wrote a fucking letter, you know.
ChatGPT did half that shit.
Probably. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. But, so, overall, I mean, it was your generic fucking letter. It was like, hey, let me talk myself up a little bit and be like, this is a great honor. Like, I enjoy to do it. Didn't really have any problems with his little exit speech. I was like, it is what it is. And I kind of gave him kudos. I was like, kudos to you for stepping down, man. Like, I mean, it is what is best for the country. Now, we could have debates on who would be best coming up. Trump, you know? But
we'd also have debates on, did he really voluntarily drop out?
Yeah. And so, but Moses and I noticed something in his speech. And it's at the, it's about the 5:25, 5:30 mark. And I don't know, do you want to tell him, or you just want me to keep going on about this?
Let's play it.
You want to play it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to play it and then be like, hey, did you notice anything about this? I'm going to give you a heads up. It's not visual, it's audio. Listen very closely to what happens here, and you tell me what this sounds like.
And if you had smell-o-vision...
It's Futurama.
Yeah.
It's a Futurama reference right there. If you had smell-o-vision, it'd probably click real fucking quick.
Around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so...
Let's watch that again.
You want to rewind and watch it again?
We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far...
Okay, so what do you think that sound was?
That dude shit himself. Now,
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, like that was a shart, dude.
That's what it sounds like.
He sharted. At a minimum, he sharted. I don't think he actively shit entirely, but that wasn't a dry fart. That was wet.
That was a wet one.
That dude farted. He sharted. Oh my God. Yeah, dude, I was watching that and came across it and I was like, what the hell? I was like, there's no way, man. So, I mean, could it be something else? Probably not, but yeah, sure. You know, I mean, somebody on that set fucking shit their pants, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that 22-year-old intern who wrote that fucking letter.
Maybe so.
But yeah, no, I like to think Biden probably fucking squeezed a wet one out.
It would check out with his current record.
Because he shit himself, what, twice?
Yeah.
There was one time at the Vatican, there was another time. Because everybody was calling him like Biden poopy pants. Mm-hmm. You know, I was like, Jesus, man, like, come on. Adult depends. Do this shit, you know?
Just let it go.
Just fucking, I'm going to come to your fucking place and just shit all over it. Oh, man. Dude, yeah. So, I mean, that shit surprised me. But, you know, that's our current president, ladies and gentlemen. And to look forward to what we have coming up, I'd like to show you where we've been and where we're going. So potentially. So Kamala Harris, though.
Yep. She's done some stuff.
She's good.
She's something.
Oh my God. Do we have a video about her?
Yeah, we have a video kind of telling her accomplishments and really kind of setting the stage of what kind of person she is and how the public feels about her.
Yeah, we'll talk about like what she's actually done. Because in preparation for this, we were reading like, okay, what has Kamala Harris actually achieved?
Because we were curious.
That is a very, very, very short list. And one thing I've noticed is like any bills that have been passed and stuff, even if Harris had nothing to do with it, now like the media, the mainstream media, is starting to say Biden-Harris. They're just trying to attach
slipping her name into that stuff.
To everything. And they're talking about any bills, even bills back from when she was just like in Congress that she sponsored. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm cool with it. There you go. Like you didn't do jack shit. Yeah. Like shut up. You know what I mean? So we'll see about this lady, but I don't see her winning at all, man. There's no way. There's no fucking way, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Unless 150,000 votes in Wisconsin magically appear.
2 a.m. That's all I'm saying.
They're all for Harris.
Yep. Not a single Republican vote, man.
And I watched that live on TV when that happened, and I was like, what the fuck is that? All of them?
All of them. Not a one. But yeah, man. Let's get to the video.
And not running for president anymore.
That's good, bro. Actually good.
Cool, great. Everything's burning down.
Well, I mean, did you see the debate?
I think Biden has done much of writing. I don't think he do most of the talking.
Somebody behind him pulling the strings or something.
Do you think that he knows he's not running anymore?
Yeah, he probably don't.
What about Kamala?
Who's Kamala? Who's her?
The vice president.
Oh, she the brown skin one?
How's she doing?
Probably doing what she been doing.
I don't think I want Kamala.
She's just not good for the people.
20 years ago, she wasn't really for my people, so that's all I really know about her.
Oh, man. So, like, Yeah. Oh, man. So that was just the people they were interviewing on Fox on the streets about their opinion about Kamala, which obviously clearly wasn't good, considering half the people were like, who?
Yeah, which that's questionable in itself.
Just remember, man, their vote is equal to yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would at least behoove every American to at least know who their president and vice president was.
You know, it might be a good idea to start there.
Yeah, I mean, I know not
down.
Everything matters, but I mean, you might at least kind of know those basic
No
things.
shit, right? But we'll get on talking about like her quote unquote accomplishments here in a second. We'll actually read from a news article about it and kind of hit it point by point. But I just thought it was interesting to see like average everyday citizens like opinion. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of entertaining noticing that every single person that they interviewed was a person of color.
Yeah.
And it's Fox, and you know that shit was not an accident.
For sure. And you know, they definitely interviewed people until they got the answers they wanted.
Like, me and you ain't walking out of a train station and then being like, well, I wonder what these guys' opinions are.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, all right. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So, oh, man. But, yeah, dude, I apparently, I mean, I've been hearing it all over. And, but apparently the Democrats, Biden, Harris specifically, they're just losing the black vote, man. Like, it's just fucking tired of it, man. It's like, dude, they fucked over those people so much in the past, the Democrats.
But it's like, but they promised them the world, and then as
Yes.
soon as they get in position, they rip the rug out from under them and just screw them over.
Yeah, man. You know, and it's just a never-ending cycle. And it's like, even that one dude was talking about Harris, you know, back when she was working in law and stuff.
Yeah, that guy seemed to know. That guy actually knew her history.
He was like, hey, like, she used to just fuck over, like, literally minorities and lock them up, like, at historical fucking rates in
Yeah.
California, right?
And
So
she's
it's
the
just
DA.
like, yeah. And it's, I don't know. So you're going to feed that bullshit. And then that kind of reminds me, do you remember when Kamala, I did kind of laugh when we were watching this in my head. Do you remember when Kamala Harris got in all that fucking trouble because she was referring to herself as an African American?
Yeah.
And then someone was like, you're half black, half Jamaican, but the black side of, or sorry, half black, half Indian or whatever, but the black side is Jamaican. They were like, you are not.
So you're not African.
From.
Yeah.
Like, and she just quit using that term. So now she's just black. You know? And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. Or like person of color or something like that. You know, it's like, God damn it. And then like also too, like with that shit, like why the fuck do people still put emphasis on this shit, man? Like no one gives a fuck.
It's just to drive that wedge, man.
That's all it is, dude.
I mean, because literally everyone is a person of color. That's the stupidest fucking term ever.
Yeah, it's like America's the most diverse nation on the face of this planet.
Like what?
We should be the one place that doesn't have these issues.
Is there a human being that is the absence of color? Like, I don't get that. Like,
look, man, we all got some shit in us. Get what
exactly.
I'm saying? Go back far enough. We got
Everybody's
some shit.
got something. Yeah.
But you know, I don't know, man. You want to talk about some of Harris's
accomplishments
or whatever? Are we going to show this actual article on the show, or are we just going to read from it? Okay. Well, so anyway, so this is an article by USA Today, and it was published on July 25th of this year, if you want to look it up. But it's just basically like, what has she actually achieved? And we were reading through it,
and most of it, everything was like, she didn't really do that, she didn't do that.
Yeah. So, like, the first one they have listed is immigration. So...
Which, Kamala Harris and immigration is immediate bullshit in my eyes.
Yeah.
But it's talking about, I think it's talking about previous to the border stuff, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, this is like, I mean, she was the border czar, like, when they appointed her and stuff. So, I mean, like, this is... I don't know. I do want to kind of read this one little paragraph because I want you to listen to that last line there and tell me if that makes any fucking logical sense. So the paragraph is, in response to immigration concerns, Harris's call to action was the public-private partnership called Central America Forward, or CAF for short. The idea behind CAF is to support the creation of local jobs and other measures in order to slow the flow of mass immigration.
So the exact opposite happened.
Like, you're just going to provide...
She's going to go to Guatemala and create jobs so the Guatemalans don't have to come to America? Because that makes no sense.
Just like, what are you fucking doing right now, man? So anyway, I don't know. And then, like, you look at how she kind of handled the border and, like, I mean, it was...
Or the lack of handling.
The lack of handling, you know?
She treated it with a hands-off approach. complete hands off.
This shit will iron itself
Like, never even go there.
And then, I mean, it took her 6 months to get down there. And then she went, you brought it up too. Like, she went, you brought it up on the last episode, I believe. She went to Europe before she even went down to the border. And I saw an interview. It was like, as soon as I left, like, the last studio, like, or the studio and, like, went home, as soon as I pulled up my feed, it came across that interview where she was questioned about it. And the guy, like the journalist interviewing her, was like, well, you went to Europe before you went to the border. And he was like, you still haven't been down to the border or whatever. And she's like, well, I also had never been to Europe. That was like her defense. And I was just like, how the fuck did you become arguably the second most powerful person on the face of this fucking planet? I don't know. I mean, a vice president, really. I mean, they could be about as strong as weak as the president will allow them to be, but I don't fucking know, man. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. So anyway, our view, the tally is immigration. She didn't do jack shit for her.
Yeah, I'd like to find someone that wants to argue that with us.
yeah. Hit us up in the comments. All right, next one is voting rights. So what is this? You just want me to read this one?
I don't want to read this crap.
Yeah, okay, so... Basically, I'll read a little summary. Like, so she pushed for Congress to pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which would extend the protection of the 1965's Voting Rights Act and require federal approval for some local election law changes. So essentially, she went on this whole fucking soapbox about how she was defending voters' rights,
specifically Africans.
Yeah, minority rights, and so
to vote, which makes no sense.
And it's like, why are we having this conversation? If you're a U.S. citizen, you can fucking vote, man.
Yeah,
are you telling me that if you're not a felon,
are you telling me that a minority can't drive a car and go to the polls? Like that makes like
that's a fucking made up problem, man.
It is.
Now, you could argue, this is one thing I do think should happen. I do think day of voting, I think that should be a federal holiday and everyone should have it off. As much as possible. Obviously, everyone can't have it off, or employers should be required
to give time.
Like, if you can't be off that specific day, like say you're a hospital worker or like police or something, like you have to be given time like within a week prior or whatever, like a day to go and do that shit, or be allowed to leave work at some point. I do believe that. Or we could just start fucking holding our elections on like Saturdays. Or Sundays. How fucking hard would that be, right?
I know. It's not like that shit ever gets counted and is on time anyways.
Yeah.
At this point, it's always running late.
But it's almost like they want to keep certain people from actually making it to the polls.
Hardworking Americans?
Probably people who have 9-to-5s and can't fucking leave.
Blue-collar workers?
There you go. So voting rights, she's out on mine. I don't think this dog shit. That's a made-up fucking problem.
Yeah, that's a bullshit problem.
Yeah. Fuck it. Next subject. Abortion. This is our favorite subject. This is an interesting one. So essentially, I didn't know this until I read this shit, but Harris is actually the only person a part of presidential office, so vice president or president, who has ever physically set foot inside of a Planned Parenthood. I did not know that. I was like,
to get an abortion.
Abort the fucking Antichrist. That's probably more like it, dude. Jesus Christ, dude. So, I don't know.
Okay, I'll give her where credit is credit due. Like, she was the first one to step foot in an abortion clinic.
Well, let's scroll down a little bit and see what else it says. But so she did make a physical appearance. That is all she's done. So yeah,
she went in there and she was like, "I'm with you, all right, I'm with you."
Yeah, that's basically it, you know. So, fuck it. Next subject: gun violence. Oh yeah. So this is one of those ones where they try to like
worm her in there.
Yeah. So basically, this says like the Office of Gun Violence Prevention builds upon actions taken by the Biden-Harris administration to end gun violence. So the thing is, they also signed what was called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Essentially, it's just like the Democrats always do. They're always just trying to come after like Second Amendment rights. But the thing is, all of this stuff that Biden was able to push through, they've now gone back and attached Harris's name to it, trying to make her seem like a chief architect behind it.
Like she's done something.
Which is a complete and total fucking fabrication and lie to like the American people.
Yep.
Fuck that. You should be able to see through that shit. Dude, we are just fucking shitting on her. I mean, it's fucking
not,
due.
Yeah, it's not like we're making anything up. She just hasn't done anything.
Oh God, I don't even want to do this one, man. No, I can't even. Do you want to? I can't even.
All right.
I'm going to go off the fucking
She introduced
rafters.
the Maternal Care Act and the Black Maternal Health Omnibus Act, which would direct multi-agency efforts to improve maternal health, particularly among racial and ethnic minority groups. Populations as well as maternal health issues related to COVID-19. That's why you shouldn't have got vaccinated. It's your fault. The Vice President's prior work on maternal and infant health care came as a key component in the Build Back Better Act.
Oh, God.
Which all that shit was bullshit.
Yeah, man.
Broadband expansion. She didn't have nothing to do with no damn internet. Next. Juneteenth was already a holiday. So they're saying that she was the one who made it a federal holiday?
Basically, they're trying to get her roped into like that. So, all right. So, when you go back to the maternal health topic, right? My thing is and I fucking hate this shit. I hate it to its core. I hate it whenever a politician uses, or even celebrities, media, entertainment, when it becomes the demographics are the focus of it. What race you are, what religion, what gender, what sexual orientation. I fucking absolutely hate that. And everything about Harris is just basically, fuck white people. We're just going to focus on doing shit for everyone else, right? Mm-hmm. And I fucking hate, and all that does is just drive that wedge, man, you were talking about, And there's tons of really qualified Democrats that could do this job and probably pull it off pretty fucking well, and all things considered, even if you don't agree with all their viewpoints. But that fucking succubus ain't the one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a dark road for America to go down, dude. And I mean, she hasn't done jack shit. God damn it. Oh, I'm about to. I've been trying to stop ranting so damn much on her show. But dude, it's not a good choice in my opinion.
No.
And the fact that she is the front runner for the DNC and not a single American cast a vote in her way pisses me off, because that is the absolute opposite of democracy, man.
Which is what they stomp home so hard every day. They're all about democracy and how Trump is the one that's stealing democracy.
What we just talked about. Clearly, we care about voting. We need to make voting more accessible to fucking minorities and shit like that. They're different. They have different set of.
But yet their votes weren't even counted in the first place.
But their votes weren't even fucking counted in the first place. So why don't we fucking talk about that? But yet people still just fucking suck that DNC dick, man. Yep. And they just keep riding that fucking train, dude. And I get it, man. There's certain core issues people may not always agree on, guns, abortion, things like that. But there's other bigger issues at play, man, such as probably the fucking 3 wars that are breaking out right now in the world. Our protection as a country. Our economy, because I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Everyone's like, oh, we're not. Our economy's doing good. Yeah, go apply for a fucking home loan. Let me know how that works for you, kid.
Go to the grocery store.
Yeah, I just came back from one. I had one small cart full of groceries, $200. Now, I did buy a bunch of meat, but $200, dude. Yep. And I was like, holy shit, dude. 5 years ago, this would have been half the price.
Literally.
Yeah. It's not even an exaggeration.
Yep.
So I think the next election is obviously a fucking no-brainer,
Oh, we say that. You would think that it would be a no-brainer, but there are many people that don't have a brain, so here we are.